So, it has been an interesting week or week and a half. It's hard to imagine that it's only been, it seems like
Such a
this
short
is
period.
where the grief kind of stops, I guess. And this is me trying to get over it, I think. And I I don't know. I just don't know. I think it's a way to vent, and it's also a way to make things less awkward because I do want to start streaming again, and I do want to start going back to posting art on social media and doing all kinds of things like that. So yes, I'm cutting a video. Um, Back to my stepdad. So I'm not going to go into detail because I think it's kind of shitty to do that. But so when I was a kid, it wasn't rainbows and roses coming up. I um I had a dad that was around, but I don't know if you'd actually call him a dad. Um, he was the guy that came home and was really angry to me anyway, and I was kind of the black sheep at the time. Um, and to be honest, when I got older, I didn't think it was a big deal because I was like, you know what, I didn't think that influence was that important to me in my life. And my stepdad came later, and I realized that when he came along, that it was important that every like men and women or whatever should have that fatherly figure in their life, like somebody who's not going to push you to go one way or the other, but actually encourage you to do what you like to do, and and that's going to be honest with you at the same time, be like, hey, I know you want to do this, but you still need to make money at while you're doing it because you got to support yourself or whatever. Um, it was it was so sudden what happened that it took everybody off guard. So, uh, so my mom called me. She said he was having a headache. He had a headache in the shower, and it was so bad that he called her up, and he was slurring when he called her up. Um, and apparently, he lost feeling on one side of his body, his right side. So immediately, she thinks it's a stroke. So she's like, um, she called the emergency, the EMTs, and EMTs showed up and they were taking care of him with the fire department and all that kind of stuff. They rushed him to the hospital, and it turns out that it wasn't a stroke. We would have been lucky if it was a stroke. It turns out that it was an aneurysm, and it burst. And it was in a part of his brain where there was nothing they can do about it. It was in the lower part of his brain. And it was so basically they brought him in, and at first they wouldn't give him pain medicine. They were like, no, you don't need pain medicine, it's fine, you'll be all right. And his head was insanely, it was, and they gave him morphine finally, and because my mom, she's an Italian woman, she ain't taking any of that shit. And she was like, no, you're gonna give him whatever, and they did. And she was, she, from what she said, he started to go to sleep and, finally get some rest. And then all of a sudden he woke up because the pain was so bad. He started puking everywhere, and they had to intubate him, and they said, this is bad, and at that point all they could do was make him comfortable. And that's when we showed up, and he was surrounded by everybody, and it was the most horrific thing I think I've ever been a part of. Like, we're in the same room, and with him, and he's all hooked up to machines and everything like that. His daughters were there, his daughter, her husband, his son was there for a short period of time, and of course all of his stepkids, like me, my brother, my sister, everybody was there, and surrounded him, because that's the way we are. Like, if somebody gets sick or they get hurt, everybody goes to the hospital, and it doesn't matter what it is, but what condition you're, whatever. That's just, I think that's the way family should be, whatever. But then they told us, like, we had to make the decision. Well, my mom had to make the decision of taking him off of life support. And they basically said that he has some brain function, but it wasn't going to last long. And we had a choice of prolonging his death or ending it a little bit quicker. And we all had to come. My mom didn't want to make the decision by herself, and she didn't have to. But I knew my stepdad enough to know that we talked about situations like this in the past, especially when my grandma died. And he said that he would never want to end up in an old folks home or, where he had to be taken care of for the rest of his life. I mean, you got to realize this was a guy who liked to jump out of planes, perfectly good airplanes, and go skydiving. He went to Nigeria to go run a boat. I mean, he was fearless. And he was smart. That's another thing too. Like, I would say he was genius level in a lot of ways. So it was an awesome combination, and it was so unfair the way he got taken out, and it was really bad. 2020 wasn't a great year. My friends list got reduced by a couple. One of my friends committed suicide because he was going through a crisis, and he never told anybody about it. And then another one, we were friends when we were kids, and he went down the wrong path in life, and his path never ended up so good, I guess. And he ended up having a stroke at a very young age. And no, it was a seizure. It wasn't a stroke. It was a seizure, and he never came out of it. It killed him. And I tried to honor both of those people by putting them in my books, because that's how I do things. That's how I cope, I guess, is to go ahead and honor the memories of the people that I've lost in my comics, to give them a little bit of immortality in my eyes. But it's time for me to get back to work. It's time for me to stop wallowing in grief. And I guess this is me getting past it and coming back a little. Honestly, this whole time, what I've been doing is I've locked myself up in my house. And if it wasn't for my wife and, other family members, like helping out with my mother and stuff like that, I would be totally screwed, because I'm not good at dealing with grief. And when I get hurt, I tend to want to go out and hurt other people. And I'm more angry at this whole situation than I am sad. I'm still sad, but it's just, it angers me that it was so, I don't know, like wrong the way things played out. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about this whole thing. And I kind of don't want to discuss it from here on out. I kind of just want to get back to streaming. I want to get back to doing comics, doing what I love to do, because that's what my stepdad would have wanted. And the term step is so fucking stupid. Jesus Christ. That's what my dad would have wanted. And because I don't think he would have wanted people. Well, I know he wouldn't have wanted people crying over him or stopping their lives to grieve him. He would want people to, remember him, celebrate his life, and live their own lives. Because that's what he did. So if you're watching this, I thank you for watching. And I hope you don't see this as being, me trying to be self-important or anything like that, because it's not. And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to keep the video up. I may decide to take it down, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Things are still up in the air. But anyway, I've got books to do. I've got paintings to paint. I got a website to build. I got obligations that I need to fulfill. And it's time to stop this and get back to it. So, peace.